systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, YouTube? We're back with the Sunday Night Football Showdown breakdown here. And Hamwich, we got a doozy on tap here. We got the Jets and the Raiders. We got a sub 40 total here. Pretty gross game over ball, but we're going to talk through it. We're going to find the winners. How's your weekend going, man? Happy Saturday. Nice to have you here. We're recording this little Saturday evening here, bringing the people the winners here. I'm out and about traveling here, coming from the hotel room, but the grind never stops. We never stop to sleep in here. We're bringing the good plays. How you doing, man? How's your weekend been? How's the college football? How's the NBA streets? How's everything going, man?
Yeah, no, it's all looking good. Some good games today in the college football ranks. I'm watching this Warriors and Cavs game going on right now, and we hope to have some more shippers over at SHIPIT Nation tomorrow. So looking forward to breaking down this game. 37 total. So we should hopefully try to find some winners and see who's it's going to be. 300,000 up top, so still a lot of money to be made.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of money to be made. And if you guys have not hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton here. And down in the comments, drop your what your score projection is of tonight's game here. And if you do hit the right score with the correct winner, myself and Ham will give you a free month courtesy of ShipItNation.com over here. Get you into all of the premium content where you'll find our core plays, our slate plan, our premium projections, everything for all sports. We've been continuing to crush here. I mean, the screenshots, I'll throw a couple of them up on the screen here. I mean, obviously Tambo winning, shipping live final seats there, as you can see there. But I mean, we got Millie winners all season long with our guy D-Dry, right? Hoop continues to crush, shipping live final seats, more shipping seats there. I mean, we've been just smashing, right? Travis Scott, our boy there, shipping 100K. I mean, members of all shapes and sizes right over your hand, which continue to print. Whether you're a low stakes player, mid stakes, single entry, MME guy, we continue to crush over here. So ShipItNation.com gets you access to all of our premium content for as low as $69 for the monthly package there. Obviously, that gets cheaper once you jump into the 6-month or year package that we have available. You can get it low as low 50s for the monthly rate once you do the math there. But let's talk on this fantastic, amazing game here that we have, the Jets and the Raiders here. 37 is the total, as you mentioned. And let's talk through captains first. I'm going to throw it to you first from the captain perspective. Obviously, we know you. It's tough to pass on the Jets here, but hard to ignore what Davante Adams has done, right? His done on the season. Obviously, he hasn't. He's kind of lacked the last couple weeks, right? Hasn't had really an explosion game since week 3, and has been pretty underwhelming. It's already tough to pass on the Jets, and once you combine that, right, with the 17-4 price tag at the captain position, definitely a tough pill to swallow there with Aiden O'Connell under center here. But you got Breece Hall, Josh Jacobs right underneath those two guys that I both like in this game. Both these teams very susceptible to run. So I really like those two guys. And then you got Garrett Wilson down there at 14-4, Jacoby Myers 13-8. You got both the quarterbacks sub 13K. I mean, both the quarterbacks in this game are the 6th and 7th highest priced guys on the slate in terms of the captain position. So definitely touch on that. And then obviously down the list gets further and further. Anytime you see a 37 total, you really want the raw points, right? Because you get one touchdown, you get those guys that are getting the raw points, the receptions, right? The Davante Adams, the Garrett Wilsons, just those PPR points can add up quickly in a low total here, which I personally think this game is going to be pretty gross myself. So where are you looking at the captain position? Really hit on those top guys in particular.
Yeah, for me, you said, I mean, these defenses are either A, really good, or B, they're facing a quarterback that's not very good. Jets really struggled on Monday night at home against the Charger defense that historically hasn't been very strong. Now go on the road on a short week playing this Raiders team. So for me in the captain spot, it's going to be tough to get away from both of these running backs as the captain for me. Breece Hall projects very well for the Jets. And then on the flip side, Josh Jacobs does as well. You cannot beat this Jets team via the pass. You just can't do it. They have sauce. They have a good defensive line. Just a good secondary overall. So they're going to establish the run. Antonio Pierce, new coach. They ran Josh Jacobs into the line. I felt like 100 times in the first half last week. That game got out of hand, so they kind of pulled the reins back on Josh Jacobs. Hey, he even said it before their first game, Nate. They want to get Josh Jacobs the ball. So I think Josh Jacobs, Brees Hall are going to be my favorite two captains. I'm actually going to fade any receiver in the captain. I just don't see a path where Devontae can get there. Certainly don't see a path where Garrett Wilson can get there, just based on the fact that his quarterback, he's so bad. Be interested to hear your take on Garrett Wilson and any other captain. But for me, it's going to be those two running backs. I may sneak maybe Aiden O'Connell in there, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah, no, excellent take. I really love both these running backs a lot here. Josh Jacobs, 26 carries last week there, 2 yards shy of that bonus. Obviously, got the 2 touchdowns there. They're starting to lean on this guy more and more. Obviously, you've seen, right? Had 15 carries and a touchdown against Detroit. Also had 4 targets in the receiving game against Detroit, two receptions there. Last week, didn't really need to be used too much in the passing game, but 26 attempts on the ground. And a spot where it's already tough to pass on the Jets, right? You are at home here. It just seems like you're just going to want to pound the rock here. You got Aiden O'Connell under center. Maybe you run a couple play actions here, but it just seems like it's a Josh Jacobs script for me. He's going to get ownership, but I don't really care. Josh Jacobs is far and away my favorite captain, especially since he's cheaper than Brees Hall, cheaper than Davante Adams. Brees Hall would be my second favorite. I really like both the running backs. I'm locked arm in arm with you. You attack both these teams through the run. Brees Hall, this guy's a workhorse, right? Handling 72% of the team snaps, total rushing attempts. He's just doing it all. He's getting targets in the passing game, right? 5 targets, 9 targets, 4 targets in the last 4 weeks. 12, and 16 carries. Wish he was getting a little bit more carries there. But in this game, I expect them. Obviously, Zach Wilson looked abysmal on that game there, that Island game, which we all saw, right? Against a very porous defense there, and he looked terrible. So I expect there to be a heavy dose of both teams trying to control the clock here, relying on their 2 skill position players, right, in their running backs, Brees Hall, Josh Jacobs. When you got Zach Wilson and Aiden O'Connell under center, excuse me. I do have a little bit more interest if my second and third, or my third and fourth captains would be Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson, just for the sake of upside. I get it; it's a tough matchup, right? Davante Adams has enough talent. Maybe O'Connell chucks it up, airs it out here, and Davante Adams finds himself in the end zone. It's not going to take much on this slate. I don't expect there to be a lot of scoring. Already expect these teams to kind of run the ball, control the clock, especially on the Raiders side. So if he catches you 8 balls and finds his way in the end zone for like 80 yards or something, there's a good chance that he's probably the optimal captain in a low-scoring game here. So do like him a little bit. I prefer Garrett Wilson a little bit more in that captain spot. I get it. The Jets offense is pretty abysmal overall. They looked atrocious there, but Garrett Wilson, he's cheaper. He's 14.4. It allows you to get some of these running backs and these quarterbacks in if you put him in the captain spot versus that $3,000 more expensive price point in Davante Adams. So rounding out my captain pool, it's going to be Josh Jacobs number 1 for me, Brees Hall number 2, Garrett Wilson would be 3, and then I'd probably go to these quarterbacks first before I go up to Davante Adams, just at the price discount. But Davante Adams, I do think, comes in a little bit lower owned at the captain spot just because of his price point. So that's kind of where I'm at. Round out your final thoughts at the captain position here, Hamlich.
Yeah, I think number 1 for me is going to be Josh Jacobs. Number 2 would be Brees Hall, and then obviously there's going to be a lot of similar builds, right? I mean, these teams have team totals of 18 and 19, basically a pick'em game. So you're going to see a lot of defense. You're going to see a lot of kicker. So you're going to get different somewhere. If there was a guy that can break the slate open, I would think it's Garrett Wilson. He can get 10 targets, and he's the type of guy that can take a little 3-yard slant route, 87 yards to the crib. So I would take Garrett Wilson as my third. Devontae doesn't have that kind of explosiveness. I mean, he can catch a 50-yard bomb, right? He can go over top of you, but Garrett can take a 3-yard pass and, like I said, take it 80 yards. So Garrett would be my third captain. And then if you want to get really weird, I think this is a slate to maybe put a kicker or a defense in the captain. I generally don't do that, but hey, it's a 37 total. Points are going to be at a premium, so this may be the slate to do it.
Yeah, no, I don't hate that. I'm actually gonna talk on that here now, jumping in the flex position. One thing I want to note for you, obviously, this mid tier range, this kicker and defense talk. Obviously, it's a big thing, right? These primetime gross games, you expect these defenses to be pretty low owned, or not low owned, excuse me, pretty high owned. Especially the way these kind of showdown island primetime slates have been going. The Raiders at 4,600 here, and the Jets at 4,200, and then you got the kickers, Greg Zuerlein sandwiched between both the defenses, and then Daniel Carlson at home, who's obviously got a massive leg there at 5K flat. So hit on the defenses in the kickers here. I really like Greg Zuerlein a lot in this game. I think the Jets can move the ball, right? When you got a guy like Breece Hall, Zach Wilson, Breece Hall can break a run out that, but once they get in between those 40s, right? I just think that they can stall out very quickly. Greg the Leg has a massive leg, and he can boot a couple field goals home, and he's cheaper. The reason I don't like the defense as much in this game, number one, the total. Number two, that's naturally going to push ownership up. But we both said we both like the running game a ton. I expect there to be a ton of rushing attempts in this game on both sides. And that, you know what that leads to? That leads to less opportunities for defenses to get interceptions, pick sixes to the house where you're going to score those points. So personally, I'm a little bit lower on the defenses, higher on the kickers in this game. Definitely like Greg Zuerlein quite a bit. I just think these defenses are going to get a lot of ownership in the total, especially the way things have been going. And I don't expect these teams to be airing the ball out to give a lot of opportunities. Obviously, they could still get sacks, right? Still get fumbles. But if the quarterback's snapping the ball, right, turning around, handing it off to the running back, it's pretty tough to for the defense to rack up sacks and rack up a lot of interceptions, things like that. So hit on that, hit on any of these other flex plays you're talking about, and then we'll talk on some of these value flex plays that I do want to bring up because I do think some of these guys like Xavier Gibson down there on the bottom are going to get some ownership on the slate.
Yeah, no, those are some great points on those defenses. Just going to get less opportunities. This game's going to be a slow-paced game. You're going to see a lot of rushes from both sides. You'll probably see somewhere in the 110 to 120 play range, and yeah, I would say over half of those, probably 60-70%, are going to be rushes. That will limit the sack upside. That will limit the interception slash turnover upside. So yeah, give me both of these kickers. I like both of them. Carlson was hurt, I believe, not too long ago, but just looking, it doesn't look like he's carrying an injury designation. So yeah, give me both of those kickers. I like them. I do like Aiden O'Connell. If you're playing Garrett Wilson in the captain, or even not in the captain, I mean, if you're playing him in the flex, I guess I don't mind Zach Wilson. You got to play somebody, right? But Dalvin Cook, I think he's washed. We'd be interested to hear your take on him. And then Michael Meyer, who has had a couple good games. He's kind of slowed down here recently. I wouldn't hate him, especially if you had Aiden O'Connell in the flex. But it's going to be slim pickings, Nades. It's not going to there's not a whole lot to get to. So it's going to be running backs. It's going to be kickers, quarterbacks, Garrett Wilson for me. And then, that's about all I have really. And I have a few down low that I'm going to talk about as well, but I'll let you go from here.
Yeah, for me, it's kickers, it's running backs, it's tight ends. Is kind of where I'm leaning on the slate, and obviously both the quarterbacks I think make some sense here. I do like Garrett Wilson here. I just think his explosiveness and his ability to take the top of the defense. They're just force feeding this guy the ball on offense. So I really like him, and I like Zach Wilson as well, right? The reason I like Zach Wilson is because, especially if my third favorite captain, right, is Garrett Wilson. Throwing him at the captain, doing the little Wilson. Everyone just saw that same game that we saw, right, Hamwich? That primetime game, the Jets offense. Everyone was kind of on the Jets, right? Myself included. I got baited into the Jets there, and they let everyone down. So naturally, they come in here. Vegas is at home, right? They're seeing Vegas coming off some good games. I just think people are just going to mail it in on these Jets here. So in $300,000 up top, everyone's going to start playing this game the same way, right? Low total, everyone thinks it's going to be gross, things like that. You could see a little Garrett Wilson and Zach Wilson pairing. I think Zach Wilson's ownership definitely going to be suppressed compared to what it usually would be, right, in the flex spot here, especially with recency bias baked in here. And the thing about that is both these quarterbacks are cheap. I mean, they're cheap. Zach Wilson at sub 9K. You don't see that sub 9K quarterbacks very much. It doesn't take much for them, Zach Wilson and Aiden O'Connell, to pay off these price points, 8,400 to 8,600. I mean, Jacoby Myers is priced higher. Garrett Wilson, Josh Jacobs, Breece Hall, Devontae Adams, all these guys are priced higher. I mean, Aiden O'Connell is $2,200 more than a guy like Allen Lazard, right? I mean, this guy has barely been involved in this offense. I mean, he's got 2 catches, 3 catches, 1 catch, 3 catches in the last 4 weeks, and this guy is $2,000 cheaper than Aiden O'Connell, a starting quarterback who's going to be touching the ball every single play. So I really think these quarterbacks don't need much, and I think you can play. For me, it's the running backs, it's the quarterbacks, and the kickers. I think you could play a double kicker on this slate here. Both these guys have shown their capability to produce fantasy points here. And the thing I like about them is they're sandwiched between the defenses, right? Greg Zuerlein between the 2 defenses and Daniel Carlson more expensive than both the defenses. So naturally, their ownership's just going to be lower. I expect the defense to draw a lot of ownership. I'm going to be under on the defenses here. Going to take my chances. If it burns me, it burns me. It's just in the way this year's gone in these primetime slates, but it's a spot that I'm willing to leverage against the field. So I really like that. Dalvin Cook, like you said, really no interest in him. Probably won't even have any of him. But Michael Mayer, I think, is an interesting play here. Tight ends do decent against the Jets here. Really wish he was just getting more targets. I mean, 2 targets, 4 targets. I mean, they're trying to get him more involved here. Obviously, last week they didn't need to use him too much, right, with the Jacobs game. But Michael Mayer at 3,600, I think that's a fine price point to play, right? I already said I'm a little bit under on guys like Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers. So you still need some pass catchers, right? Josh Jacobs not going to run the ball every single play of the game. So Michael Mayer in the passing game makes some sense. I do like that. Trey Tucker, I didn't want to bring up Trey Tucker. He is $800, right? And the thing about him is on 30 to 40% of Aiden O'Connell's dropbacks, Trey Tucker was running a route. So what does that mean? That leads to opportunities, right? If he's running routes on the dropbacks, that can lead to opportunities. And if he gets you there at $800, doesn't take much to pay off that price point. And I already said I want to pay up for these running backs, right? They're expensive. The quarterbacks are expensive. You do need some value on the slate, especially if you're playing Breece Hall and Josh Jacobs in that captain position. And a guy like Trey Tucker, when Aiden O'Connell does drop back, he's cheaper than Jacoby and Devontae, wide receiver 3 there, and he's running routes. So I do like Trey Tucker a little bit as a value guy there. Xavier Gibson's another guy that's probably going to get a lot of ownership here. Obviously, he's going to be the slot guy here for the Jets with Randall Cobb still inactive for this game. So Xavier Gibson, probably going to be the chalk value guy at just $200. I prefer Trey Tucker, I think, to him, but last week he did have 2 targets, caught both of them for 32 yards, posted 5.2 fantasy points. If he does that again, that could be enough, right, at $200 on the slate, but you're probably going to have a similar roster to everyone else, and you're probably going to be splitting and chopping a lot of ways if that does hit, especially when people are going to probably have the similar captains, right? Those top 4 guys are going to get probably majority of the captain ownership, I would assume, right, with Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and Josh Jacobs. And then obviously the quarterbacks will be followed behind that. So talk on those 2 value guys in particular. I personally prefer Trey Tucker a little bit more over Xavier Gibson, but Gibson going to be the number 3 slot guy there with Randall Cobb on the shelf, and caught both of his targets last week, and maybe they try to look his way a little bit more, right? Obviously that offense looked absolutely atrocious. So what's your thoughts on those 2 guys?
Yeah, I was just I didn't see so Cobb is out. I know he missed last week, but is he out? He's out again. He's on the IR.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I don't think he's inactive yet. He might actually, hold on, let me see. Yeah. I don't think he's out yet, but if he is inactive again, obviously that's when Gibson comes into play.
Yeah.
I'm presuming right now, like Cobb's not going to play again, but I guess we'll have to see. You have to definitely monitor that.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely get Trey Tucker. He is kind of overtaken or at least equal with Hunter Renfrow, but those 2 are virtually the same price on the slate. I actually like Hunter Renfrow just a little bit more. Just he's more crafty. I mean, Tucker's more of a speed merchant and gets down the field. He could definitely hit that long one over the top. But if we're talking DraftKings, could Renfrow get you 5 or 6 for 55, 60, maybe get in the box? Only played 22% of the snaps last week. Tucker played 47. So yeah, I mean, so Tucker's got him there. But ownership percentage. I would like Renfro a little bit more than Trey Tucker. And then Gibson, yeah, if Cobb does miss, I think Gibson is viable. I think he played right around 50%. Alan Lazard, I mean, Alan Lazard's playing a whole bunch of snaps, pretty much every snap, I think 85, 90%. But man, he had some bad drops last week. He's just been really bad, this whole season. So I don't think I have any interest there. So give me Renfro slightly over Trey Tucker. That's just based on I've seen him do it before, and then I want Hoop to be able to throw on that Renfro jersey after he ships 300K. So give me some Renfro love over Trey Tucker tonight.
Yeah, no, I definitely like that. I did want to bring up Austin Hooper as well. I do think you see some two tight end sets here with Hooper and Mayer, and I think they're both in play. Hooper being $600 versus Michael Mayer at $3,600. Hooper's still getting targets, still running routes. And I mean, yeah, he's pretty dusty overall, but Michael Mayer, I mean, he's not getting a ton of targets either. So don't sleep on a guy like Austin Hooper here. Tight ends can beat up these Jets a little bit here. So I really think Austin Hooper's an interesting play as well. So there's a lot of value on this slate. I think we broke it down pretty good. Any final thoughts in terms of the flex position? Obviously, pretty gross game. I think we're pretty aligned here. Broke it down pretty well. But what's your final thoughts here in the flex?
Yeah, I think you kind of talked me into it. I don't think I'm going to do any defenses. I'd rather go kickers. I think these kickers can outscore the defenses, so I'm going to go kickers over defense. Is going to be my stand on this slate. Not going to play any defense in a and maybe like if I did a 10 max, I probably wouldn't have any defenses in there.
Yeah, no, definitely sounds like we're fully aligned here. Think 3-3 builds definitely make some sense here, but I typically like the 2-4 or the 4-2 builds. That's probably where I'm going to find myself. But you could see in games like this, right, low total, you could see one of these teams come in completely just shit pound the other team, right? So you could see the 5-1s. Think the 5-1s go a little bit overlooked here in this game. Obviously, both teams think this is gross. I think if anyone's going to the 5-1s, it's going to be more on the Raiders side here, just because everyone recency bias seen what the Jets just did to us all on that lone primetime game, right, against the Chargers. Pretty gross game there. They absolutely looked horrible. So not to say I'm going in there and playing 5-1 Jets because that feels very, very gross on this slate. But, I mean, you could see it happen. So I'm probably going to be on the 2-4, 4-2 routes personally to myself. 3-3 is naturally going to just be the chalkiest route. But there's ways to get different with it, right? Avoid defenses, things like that, where a lot of people are condensing on the same plays here. Any final thoughts for the people, Hamwich, before we get on out of here?
No, let's get them out. Let's build those teams.
Yeah, let's do it. Good luck in all your contests. Hopefully your main slate's going good. Obviously, we will have you covered over here. This is pre-recorded here. But if you guys have not already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. We'll have all of our core plays up on the SHIPIT Nation website. If you are not a member, shipitnation.com. Click join now, and you can see all of the packages that are available to you, including all the sports, all the tools, content projections, everything that are available to you as well. That's going to do it for this Sunday night football breakdown here between the Jets and the Raiders in Las Vegas here Sunday night. $300,000 up top. Hopefully we see a SHIPIT Nation logo or a couple of them at the top of the leaderboards. For Hamwich, I'm Nades. We're going to get out of here. Good luck tonight in your contest. Let's ship it.